A brand new day is here, and with it comes a whole new wave of surprises. Today, we're diving into another chapter in the lives of Kiet and the strong, resilient single mom, Tuna. You never really know what to expect when it comes to these two, but that's exactly what makes their journey so captivating. First off, I just want to say thank you seriously to everyone who's been watching, supporting, and showing love to these videos. Your encouragement means the world, and it's what keeps me going, episode after episode. If you've been following along, you know things are never quiet when it comes to Kiet and Tuna. There's always some twist of fate, a heartwarming moment, or an unexpected turn that pulls us in and keeps us coming back for more. And today? Well, let's just say you won't want to miss what's coming next. So go ahead, grab your coffee, settle in, and let's experience today's story together. I promise it's going to be good. And hey, if you haven't already, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's keep this journey going strong. Ready? Let's jump in. Just like any other morning, Kiet headed off to his job at the local woodworking factory, while Tuna made her usual rounds, visiting small vegetable farms to gather produce to sell at the market. It was a quiet, ordinary start to the day until something unexpected happened. As soon as Kiet arrived at the workshop, the floor manager, Mr. Tuan, called him into the office. Kiet could tell from the tone in Mr. Tuan's voice that this wasn't just a routine chat. He hesitated for a moment, then stepped into the room, greeted his manager respectfully, and took a seat while Mr. Tuan wrapped up a phone call. After hanging up, Mr. Tuan looked over and said, "Kiet, there's something important I need to talk to you about today." Immediately, Kiet felt a knot form in his stomach. Had he done something wrong? Was there an issue he didn't know about? Trying to stay calm, he responded, "Yes, sir." "What's going on?" Mr. Tuan leaned back and smiled. "I've been observing your work for quite some time now. You've been doing an excellent job handling everything efficiently, staying focused, and setting a great example. The owner and I both agree. It's time for a change. We'd like to promote you to the position of factory supervisor." Kiet blinked, stunned. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. It felt surreal. A part of him was proud, but another part immediately felt a wave of self-doubt. "Wow, I don't know if I'm ready for that kind of responsibility," he admitted quietly. "What if I can't handle it?" Mr. Tuan gave a reassuring nod. "You've got what it takes. I'm confident you'll rise to the occasion. Besides, the promotion comes with a better salary, more stability, and a better life for you and those you care about." Kiet sat in silence, letting the weight of the opportunity sink in. It wasn't just about the money, it was about stepping up, about growth. It meant proving to himself that he was capable of more. And, more than anything, it meant being able to provide a better future. For Tuna and her little one, after a moment of reflection, he finally nodded. "Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate your trust in me. I'll do my best not to let you down." Later that day, after finishing work, Kiet sat quietly outside the factory, lost in thought. The sun was beginning to set, casting a warm glow over the landscape, and his mind wandered to the road ahead. He felt both nervous and inspired. He knew life was about to change, and not just for him. He thought about Tuna, about her strength, her kindness, her unwavering effort to build a good life for her and her child. He wanted to share the news with her, to celebrate this milestone together. Maybe pick up something nice for dinner. Make the night special. But when he reached into his pocket to check his money, reality hit. All he had left were a few crumpled bills, not nearly enough to buy a decent meal. Still, Kiet wasn't the kind of man to give up that easily. With quiet determination, he stood up, dusted off his pants, and set off toward the river that flowed down from the mountain. If he couldn't buy something fancy, he'd catch something fresh instead. Up in the cool, shaded waters of the stream, Kiet worked with skill and patience, his hands dipping and darting through the clear current. It took time and a fair bit of slipping and splashing, but eventually, he had a solid catch, enough fish for a full dinner. Soaking wet but satisfied, Kiet climbed back to the trail, slung the fish over his shoulder, and began the walk home. His clothes clung to him, the mountain breeze cutting through, but he didn't mind. All he could think about was the look on Tuna's face when he shared both the dinner and the news. When Kiet finally made it back to Tuna's house, he found her outside near the water basin, busy doing something with her hands. He called out to her gently. "Tuna, what are you up to out here?" She looked up, surprised, but smiling softly. "Oh, hey, you're here. I'm just getting dinner started." Kiet smiled and held up the bundle of fresh fish he had caught earlier. "I went up to the stream and managed to catch quite a few fish today. Thought maybe I'd bring them over, and maybe we could have dinner together." Tuna's face lit up with a warm, genuine joy. "Wow, you caught all those yourself? They look amazing. All right, let me get the rice going. You're staying for dinner." Kiet nodded, his smile widening. "Great. I'll get these cleaned up then. Oh, and by the way, there's something I've been meaning to tell you, but we'll talk in a bit." He crouched down by the water, methodically cleaning each fish, while Tuna rushed into the kitchen to start the rice. A few minutes later, she returned to help him finish gutting and prepping the fish. There was no rush, no stress, just two people moving naturally around each other, hands busy, but hearts at ease. Together, they fried the fish until golden and crisp, steamed fresh vegetables, and laid out a simple, comforting meal. As the food sizzled and the smell filled the air, they shared laughs and small stories. From the day, nothing dramatic, just the kind of everyday conversation that somehow feels important when shared with the right person. There was an unspoken rhythm between them, like they'd been doing this forever. No grand declarations, no labels, just warmth, connection, and the beginnings of something deeper. By the time dinner was ready, the sky had faded into soft hues of twilight. A gentle breeze rustled through the trees as night began to settle over the quiet countryside. Inside, the warm glow from a single hanging bulb filled the small kitchen with a comforting light. Tuna and Kiet had laid out their simple meal on the low wooden table, a pot of steaming rice, golden fried fish, and a plate of freshly boiled vegetables. They sat down together, shoulder to shoulder, a calm silence lingering between them for a moment, before Tuna broke it with a soft voice. "Earlier, you said you had something to tell me?" Kiet looked up, slightly surprised she remembered, but gave a shy smile. "Yeah, I did." He took a breath, then said, "I got promoted today to factory supervisor. It's official now. The manager called me in this morning and gave me the news." Tuna's eyes widened. "Really? That's amazing. Congratulations, Kiet. You totally deserve it." He gave a quiet chuckle, looking down at his bowl of rice. "Thanks. I'm still kind of wrapping my head around it. I didn't expect it at all. But it means a higher salary and Well, a little more stability. Tuna smiled at him, the kind of smile that carries more than just happiness. It was support. It was pride. You've worked hard. I'm happy for you. They both took a few bites in silence, the crackle of fried fish, and the quiet hum of the night wrapping around them like a soft blanket. Then slowly, the conversation opened up. They began talking, not just about the promotion, but about what it could mean, about plans for the future, about dreams neither of them had dared to voice out loud before. Kiet spoke about saving more, maybe finding a better place to live, something cozier, closer to the market so Tuna wouldn't have to travel so far every morning. He talked about how maybe one day he could help send her little girl to a good school. Tuna shared her hopes too. She talked about wanting to grow her own garden, about how she wished to one day own a small stall in the market where she wouldn't have to rely on others for produce anymore. Maybe even learn to make homemade sauces or preserves to sell. Their voices intertwined in that small, quiet space, creating a bubble of warmth, not flashy or dramatic, but real and rooted in care. Under the soft, flickering glow of the single light above them, their laughter occasionally rang out small, genuine moments of shared joy. Outside, the night deepened. The stars began to peek through the dark sky, and the cool night air carried with it the scent of wet grass and fresh earth. Inside, two people sat across from each other. No longer just two individuals surviving day to day, but something more. Maybe it wasn't love just yet. Maybe it was still too early to say. But in that moment, between the steam of the rice and the sparkle of hopeful eyes, it was clear. A new chapter was beginning. A chapter filled with quiet promises, unwritten possibilities, and the slow, steady building of something truly. Today marks a new beginning for Kiet. He's no longer the man hauling lumber under the sun or stacking boards late into the evening. Gone are the long days of back-breaking labor and splinters in his hands. Now, he steps into a new role, one that comes with responsibility, respect, and a broader vision. Kiet has officially been promoted. As a supervisor, he now oversees daily operations at the factory, making sure the machines run smoothly and the workers stay safe and productive. But he doesn't just sit in an office barking orders. Kiet shows up early, before the hum of machines fills the air, walking the floor, inspecting every piece of equipment. He checks, double checks, ensuring that when the team arrives, everything is ready. No delays, no risks. What sets Kiet apart isn't just his dedication, it's his heart. He doesn't just manage from a distance, he leads by example. You'll still find him rolling up his sleeves, lending a hand when something jams, or a worker is overwhelmed. He listens, he checks in, he cares. In a world where authority often disconnects leaders from their people, Kiet is the exception. His team respects him, not just because he wears a title, but because they know he's been in their shoes. He's carried the weight, felt the pressure, and now he's using that experience to make things better for everyone around him. This isn't just a career move. It's a transformation, a quiet, powerful evolution of a man who never stopped pushing forward. And as he walks through those factory doors each morning, there's a calm confidence in his stride. Kiet has stepped into his own, and this is just the beginning. While Kiet was settling into his new role at the factory, Tuna was already up with the sun, starting her own day of hard work, one built on resilience, love, and quiet determination. It was market day, The summer heat had barely begun to rise, but Tuna knew it would be brutal. With a small child at home, she made the difficult but necessary decision to leave her daughter in the care of her husband's older sister, a woman who had been like a second mother to Tuna, especially during her hardest years. That bond of sisterhood, born not just of blood but of compassion, gave Tuna the strength and peace of mind she needed to push forward. Her mission? To gather the freshest sweet corn directly from local farmers and get it to the market before the morning rush. Timing was everything. Freshness meant value, and every sale mattered. She moved quickly through the fields, carefully selecting each ear of corn, her hands working with speed and precision. This wasn't just business, it was survival, and she had no room for delay. By the time she reached the bustling marketplace, the sun was high, and the heat was already pressing down like a weight. But Tuna didn't flinch. She laid out the corn neatly, its bright green husks and golden silk catching the eye of early shoppers. Within moments, people began to gather around her stall. They knew her, they trusted her, and more importantly, they trusted the quality of what she brought. Her fresh corn sold fast. One customer turned into 2, then 5, then a crowd. The sweat on her brow, the aching in her feet, it was all worth it. This was a win. A small one maybe, but meaningful. Every ear of corn sold was one step closer to a better life for her daughter. Tuna's journey isn't flashy. It's not filled with grand moments or big speeches, but in the quiet rhythm of her days, in the way she shows up for her child, for her family, for herself, there's a kind of strength that speaks louder than words. And today, she won. One fresh harvest, one grateful customer at a time. While Tuna was hustling through the morning heat, selling corn with a hopeful heart, a shadow was quietly moving in on the other side of town. A figure from her past, someone who once shared her home, her life, and her pain, was now stepping back into the picture. Her ex-husband had been keeping tabs on her, and more importantly, on Kiet. Ever since he found out about Kiet, the man Tuna now spoke about with a light in her eyes he hadn't seen in years, something shifted inside him. Whether it was jealousy, guilt, or something darker, no one could say for sure. But one thing was clear. He didn't want Kiet and Tuna to be happy, and he had a plan. That morning, dressed in plain work clothes, Tuna's ex stood outside the wood factory where Kiet had just been promoted. He watched for a moment, studying the gates, the workers, the flow of the day. Then, with a determined breath, he stepped inside. He didn't come with a resume. He didn't need one. What he needed was access. He approached Kiet directly, casually, like a man just looking for a job. "Hey, I heard there might be an opening here. I've got experience in woodworking, cutting, loading, whatever you need. I'm not picky. Just want to work." Kiet turned to him, welcoming as always. He had no idea who this man really was, just another guy trying to earn an honest living. "We're always open to hardworking people," Kiet replied with a smile. "You've done this kind of work before?" "Yeah, years in it. I had a rough patch, trying to start over. Figured this place could be a fresh beginning." Kiet nodded. Something in the guy's story hit home. He remembered hearing bits and pieces from other workers, a man who lost everything, trying to get back on his feet. Kiet believed in second chances. "All right," Kiet said, extending a hand. "Let's give it a shot. I'll set you up with the floor team to start. We'll see how it goes." The man shook his hand firmly, hiding the storm that churned inside him. What Kiet didn't know, what he couldn't have known, was that the man he'd just hired wasn't looking for redemption. He was looking for control, for leverage, for a way to wedge himself back into Tuna's life and quietly drive a stake between her and the only man who'd shown her true care in years. As the ex was led to his assigned station, he glanced back at Kiet calm, focused, unaware. It was a look not of respect, but of calculation, and just like that, the game began. Kiet, always the optimist, had welcomed a snake into the garden, and now, without knowing it, he stood on the edge of something far more personal than any workplace challenge. Because sometimes, the biggest threats don't come from the outside, they walk right through the front door. This was only the beginning. Kiet never saw it coming. To him, this was just another man, a down-on-his-luck worker, trying to piece his life back together. Kiet didn't ask too many questions. He didn't judge. That wasn't his way. If someone showed up asking for help, Kiet did what he always did. He gave it. A job, a chance, a clean slate. It's just who he was. But what he didn't know was that this man wasn't just anyone. He was the man from Tuna's past, the one who broke her, the one who left scars far deeper than anyone on the outside could see, the father who walked away, the husband who hurt more than he ever helped. And now, Kiet had unknowingly brought him back into their lives. At first, it was innocent, just a new worker on the floor, a name, a face, a handshake. But what happens when Kiet finds out the truth? When he realizes that the man he just welcomed into his team, into his trust, is the very person Tuna tried so hard to escape? How will he react when the puzzle pieces start to fit? When the stories Tuna quietly told over dinner, the ones filled with pain and silence, suddenly have a face, a voice, a presence now standing just a few feet away from him, day after day. Because Kiet isn't just Tuna's partner, he's her protector, her steady place. The man who stayed when others ran, who showed love, not just in words, but in action, especially toward her daughter, who had slowly come to see him as more than just mom's friend. So what happens when that past comes knocking at the factory door? Not with apologies, but with intentions. Right now, Kiet believes he's helping. That's the heartbreaking part. In his kindness, he thinks he's doing the right thing, helping a lost man find his way, never realizing that he's opened a door Tuna never wanted unlocked again. The question is no longer if Kiet will find out. It's when. And when he does, the real test begins. Not just of his strength, but of his heart. Because protecting someone isn't just about loving them when things are easy. It's about standing in the fire with them when their past tries to burn it all down. Kiet, with all his quiet strength and unwavering kindness, has no idea that a storm is already forming right under his roof. He's extended his hand in good faith, but sometimes good intentions aren't enough to stop the damage someone else is ready to cause. Meanwhile, Tuna remains unaware that the man she left behind is inching closer, not just to her, but to the life she's finally started to rebuild. The peace, the hope, the future she's fought so hard for is now in danger. What happens when truth finally comes to light? What will Kiet do when he sees not just the man, but the pain he brought with him? One thing is certain, this story isn't over. In fact, it's just beginning. Stay tuned, because next time, the past catches up and no one walks away unchanged.
Trước cổng xưởng gỗ nơi Kiet đang làm việc, một người đàn ông lặng lẽ đứng nhìn vào bên trong. Gương mặt anh ta không lộ rõ cảm xúc, nhưng ánh mắt lại toan tính và lạnh lẽo. Đó chính là chồng cũ của Tử Na, người mà cô từng cố gắng rũ bỏ khỏi cuộc đời mình. Sau khi biết được Kiet là người mà Tử Nha nhắc đến trong những cuộc trò chuyện, người đàn ông bắt đầu nhen nhóm một ý định âm thầm tiếp cận Kiet, theo dõi từng bước đi của anh và bằng cách nào đó khiến cho Kiet và Tử Nha không tiếp tục bên nhau. Không để mất thời gian, chúng ta tiến thẳng vào bên trong xưởng, gặp Kiet. Giờ đây đang ở cương vị quản lý mới, anh ta giả vờ là một người xa lạ, chỉ đơn giản đang tìm kiếm một công việc để mưu sinh. Chào anh, tôi ở đây đang tuyển người. Tôi từng làm ở vài xưởng gỗ, không ngại vất vả miễn là có việc để sống, anh ta nói với giọng thật giả tạo. Kiet như bao lần khác vẫn với sự tử tế và bao dung của cách nhìn của người khác, anh không hề nhận ra trước mặt mình là ai. Anh cũng chẳng hề biết quá khứ đằng sau gương mặt đã từng khiến Tử Nha đau khổ như thế nào. Chỉ nhớ mang máng vài câu chuyện về người đàn ông từng mất tất cả.